Right, this is going to be fun. Try controlling this lot. Do you know what's funny? In the green room before, the last to arrive was Martin, and the boys were, look at Emile, the boys were being boys. Just, you know, good, well behaved. When the manager walked in the room, it was a different story. Look at them nodding as well, it was a different story. Martin, it's wonderful to have you here. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. We're going to start and try and keep this chronological as best we can. Yeah?
Yeah, carry on, mate.
Thanks. We're going to start, hopefully, with reviewing where things in the 90s for Leicester City really did start to pick up. And a day to remember for Steve Walsh. Let's go back to 1994. Love you all. Right. Walshy, I know you've spoke about it an awful lot. Let's start with how nice it is to be with this group of people and then reflect on 1994, where it all started, really.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's great to be back and seeing Martin and all the lads. You know, there's a team here. I know there's only 5 or 6 of us, but I think we'd contend on Saturday if we wanted to play against the first team. I'm sure maybe Neil Lennon would need Martin. I think the rest of us would certainly win games. And but I've had some special times, special memories with Martin and with all of these lads. Incredible roller coaster ride. And I guess I was a little bit difficult to handle in some ways, Martin, and I know you'll admit that. But my memories of you, I didn't know whether you liked me, first of all, until you wrote my foreword in my book, and I thought, do you know what? You were absolutely fantastic. And when I think back how you worked and how you operated, I got it in the end, and I understood how very, very good you were. You're a genius in a way of, just the way that your man managed his players. He was incredible, and I must admit, I would fight tooth and nail to win games because of how you instilled the mentality, I would say, into us all. There was the way that you handled each and every player in that team that was remarkable for me, and I understood in the end.
That's enough, Walshy.
Yeah, it's enough. But it's funny, I got to say that, but Emile's just said to me, which was the Swindon final? And I said it was the 93 Hesk. And he said, well, I was ball boy for that game. So I'm showing my age now. I'm the oldest out of the group. I was captain of the football club, and I love being captain of this football club and what we achieved. When in that 90s, when you think I played in, seven Wembley finals? Was it 6 I played? I should have played in 7, but I missed one through a stupid red card against Chelsea, and I missed the 2000 cup final. So I was good at getting sent off. I got plenty of red cards, as you all know, but that was a costly one, and it hurt me. That did very bad because that could have been another medal. I didn't get a medal, and I played a big part in that season, I thought. Well, quite a big part.
Martin, a word on Steve Walsh. He said he wasn't sure whether you liked him.
Well, Walsh is difficult to like at the best of times, so... Well, first of all, I just want to say something here. It's very, very, very difficult for me tonight to come here and have a little bit of fun with players that I actually really loved and who did brilliantly for me. So where's Ian Marshall when you need him,
Wow.
Marshall. So anyway, Walsh, when I first came to Leicester, the opening game was away at Grimsby, and obviously I was pretty concerned. And on the Friday, so we'd just done the training on Friday. Walsh had been excellent in the training. That was on, and then the players got showered, and then there was a knock on the door, and it was Stevie, and he said, Gaffer, he said, I don't think I'm fit to play tomorrow. And I was stunned because he'd just come off the training ground. He was perfectly all right. He said, I'm in bits. And I said, well, what's wrong with you? And they said, no, I don't think I'll be able to play. And so I got the physio, and Smithy came in. Smudger came in as physio, and I said, Walsh is not, he's in bits, he said, after the training, is there something we did there? And he just said, no, Walshy does this all the time. And it was just a sort of precautionary thing. And then Walsh, for the next 5 years, goes out. Every single Friday he's in, I'm in bits and in bits. And then goes out and he's fantastic in the games and on Saturday. So it was like sort of a self-defense mechanism, and just in case he didn't play so well. That was all. But Walsh, it's very difficult to criticise him. He was fantastic at the football club.
Do you know what, Martin? When I look back and I've had 27 operations, and when I had injuries, they were proper injuries. And I remember playing a few games which you made me play, actually. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did, because it was so important. At Crystal Palace away, when we won back to back, I think, with Charlton and Crystal Palace, and then we played in the final. And I broke my hand against Crystal Palace earlier in that fateful game at Palace. But we got them again, and a lot of you'll know that I played with a broken hand, and I still to this day, it's shattered in 4 places. If I showed you my knees now, I'm sure you'd scream.
No, I'm not disputing that, Steve. You would have played with those injuries, and you definitely did. Every single player here played with injuries, and you had loads of them. There's no question about it. All I'm saying, in a joking fashion, it was just one of those things that you used to come in and say, I'm in bits and I'm bits. And I obviously, early on, I got really worried about it, because you were our main player, really important for us. And I thought to myself, if I'm depending on Frank Rolling to do it, then I'm going to be in massive trouble, So, and do you remember what? What?
No, I was just saying he's weak as piss.
Yeah, who?
Hey, it's good job you sat there, Mr. Claridge.
Claridge will get his chance in a minute, So, but that's all. That was all. So no, as I said to you,
I remember, Martin. It was listen. I'm not kind of meaning anything at all, because, like I say, I wanted to play through anything for you and the team.
And you did do
and we
it.
did. Yeah,
and you did.
So well done with playing with
fantastic.
2 hands.
Absolutely.
Is what we're saying. Martin,
He wants me to mention a game against Crystal Palace where he was absolutely outstanding. It was the Saturday after we had won at Charlton Athletic on the Tuesday, and Walshy won the game single-handedly. There's no question about it. And if we had not got the 3 points at that time, we could have been. We might not have made promotion. That's the point.
Steve Walsh, everybody. 1994, the Steve Walsh final. Undoubtedly. Martin, only because we may not get a chance to come back to it later on, you've talked about early times, your early days of managing the club, and I'm desperate to talk about it because I've heard stories. The letters you received when you were in the early days, things weren't going particularly well for the club, and some may have suggested that your appointment should come to an earlier end than it did. Is it true you kept those letters? Is it true you called some of the people back and politely offered your view when things were going well?
Yes, I did. I did keep the letters, and I sent, and I phoned them up afterwards, and I said to my wife, "Why did you write that letter?" And you don't know my wife, you are very pleased not to, She's off her rocker. Absolutely off. The story I wanted to tell you was actually a game it's not really there in my memory. It was the 30th of March, 1996, and 20 past 4, and Sheffield United just scored their second goal. And the crowd have just shouted, F off O'Neill all around the pitch. And so we lost 2-0, booed off the pitch, and there was demonstrations afterwards. So I remember Ian Sylvester, the secretary, Ian came round and he told me about the demonstrations. They were all the fans outside Filbert Street were dancing on my car, which I think, well, the car that the Leicester give me, that would be an improvement on the car. But anyway, so Ian said to me, Martin, he said, I think you should, if you give me your keys, he said, I'll drive the car around the back and you can go round the back. And I said, Ian, you must be kidding. I'm going out that front. Absolutely. And then I looked out the window and I thought, he might be right. Anyway, I put the two children out in front of me and I went out the front. And so anyway, finally, even the stewards were actually telling me to F off as well too. So, but I got my own back on those boys because I sacked them after we got promotion. And anyway, we drove out, not a word said. My two children, one's 11 years of age, the other's 8. And the 11-year-old said to me, he said, oh, Daddy, you see that bad language the crowd were using? That was at you, wasn't it? And I said, I'm afraid it was. And then she said, oh, how naughty of them. And then that Irish woman sitting in the passenger side, called my wife, said in this Irish accent, you deserved it anyway. If you can't beat Sheffield United at Filbert Street, you deserved it anyway. And I said, you might get your wish. I said, I could be sacked on Monday morning. You deserve that as well, she said. So she's really, really supportive to me in a non-supportive fashion, you know.